had AI run a performance test based on the stats of the 2 most popular bikes sold in the US. And then this bike from Wildway. And what I found really surprised me. This bike from Wildway dominated the competition. It beat out rad power bikes and electric in what they call energy density, which is a fancy way of saying range. It beat them in power to weight ratio, which deals with acceleration, top speed, and hill climbing ability. And it beat them in load efficiency, which has to deal with capacity, how much the bike can carry. I'm gonna talk about those 3 things in just a minute, but first, I gotta talk about the price. Because you would think that a bike that dominates in performance is gonna cost a lot more money, but that just simply isn't the case. This bike is the Wildway Sword, and it costs $1,300. The Rad Power Bike's Rad Plus 6 is $1,400, and then the electric X-Peak 2 is $1,500. Oh yeah, and the Wildway has 2 motors, 750 in the front, 750 in the rear. The other 2 bikes just have 1. Oh, and then there's the full suspension, got a front fork, and then you got this cool rear suspension, one on the right side and one on the left. And I mentioned that because electric and rad power just have the front fork suspension. So you got a better price, a longer range, way more power, and its full suspension. Just seems too good to be true. Now, over the years, I have reviewed the electric bike and rad power bikes, and they are very good bikes. I've got no complaints about them, but they have got some serious competition with that right there. Now, I'm not saying that the Wildway Sword is the perfect bike. There's some things on this that I definitely do not like. But as far as performance, when compared to those other 2 brands, which are very popular bikes, this thing kicks butt. Okay, so now it's time to talk about what exactly is energy density. And like I said earlier, that's just a fancy way to calculate the range. And how you do that is you take the watt hours of the battery and you divide it by the weight of the bike. This bike by far has the biggest battery. It's got 1,440 watt hours, but it's also the heaviest bike at 106 pounds. So when you do the math, that gives you 13.6 watt hours per pound. Rad Power Bikes has a 672 watt hour battery. It weighs 73 pounds for a total of 9.2 watt hours per pound. Electric has the same size battery, 672 watt hours, but the bike frame's lighter at 67 pounds, which equals 10 watt hours per pound. Okay, so the numbers that you probably really care about is the range and the range rating. They give Wildway a range rating of 75 miles, which is massive for a bike that costs $1,300. Dang. Rad Power Bikes is 45 miles and electric is 60. So I did a range test with this bike. When full throttle, I was averaging about 30 miles per hour. By the time I got back home, I went 13.36 miles. The bike only had 2 battery bars left, so that is a big difference from its rating of 75 miles, but what they don't tell you is that you will only get 75 miles if you just use 1 motor. But I want to show you real quick how to access both motors or turn them off. There's an icon here on the screen. When you hit the I button, if you hold that down, the rear wheel is flashing. Hold it down again. The front wheel is flashing. Hold it down one more time. And both are now on. Pretty simple, easy, don't forget it, or you'll miss out on a lot of power. The next performance test I had AI run was a power to weight ratio. And this is gonna deal with speed, acceleration, and hill climbing power. And you can figure that out by taking the nominal watts of the bike and then dividing by the weight of the bike. And you probably have guessed that this bike would, again, outperform the other 2 bikes because this has dual motors. 750 plus 750 equals 1,500 divided by 106. And that is, since I don't do math in my head, 14.2 watts per pound. The Rad Power is 75 divided by 73, which equals 10.3 watts per pound. Electric is 715 divided by 67, which gives you 11.2 watts per pound. So what that means for speed, if I can remember back to the days when I reviewed those 2 bikes, the Rad Power, I topped out at 20. That's as fast as you can go. With electric, if you're pedaling, you can top out at 28. So let's see what this one can do. It's got a rating of 32 miles per hour, so I want to see if I can beat that. Oh yeah, 31, 32, 33, woo-hoo-hoo. Oh, that speed is quite nice. I love a e-bike that costs $1,300 and hits over 30 miles per hour. I mean, come on. What more do you literally want or need in life? But let's see how the acceleration is. Here we go. Yeah, it picks up power pretty dang quick. 15, 18, 19, 20. Dang, that's 20 miles per hour in probably 100 feet. That did not take long. So yeah, good acceleration, good speed, but what about hill climbing ability? Well, I took it up to a hill that I test all the bikes on. It's a 15% grade. I started at the bottom without any momentum, just used the throttle, and by the time I reached the top, I was going 13 miles per hour, which honestly, that's, dang, 106-pound bike going 13 miles per hour up that hill is just good. That's all I gotta say, it's just good. There's a girl over there selling cookies, and I want some, so I'm gonna pause right now and go feed my belly, because I'm starving. Okay, bye. The third and last test that I had AI run was a payload to weight ratio. Pretty much is how much the bike can carry, in addition to how much it weighs. And you get this by taking the bike's carrying capacity divided by its weight. The Wildway has a carrying capacity of 440 pounds. Huge carrying capacity, but it also weighs 106 pounds. So you take 440 divided by 106. That gives you 4.2, which means that it can carry 4.2 times how much it weighs. All right, Rad Power Bikes has a carrying capacity of 275. It weighs 73 pounds, which means that it can carry 3.8 times as much as it weighs. Wow. Electric's got a carrying capacity of 330 pounds, but the bike only weighs 67 pounds, giving it a 4.5 times its weight carrying capacity. Now, I debated if I wanted to put this test in the review because no one's going to put that much weight on a bike. The only part that you really should care about as far as how much weight can go where on the bike other than yourself is the carrying capacity of the rack. And this rack has a 100-pound carrying capacity. Rad Power Bike has a 50-pound carrying capacity, and Electric has a 60-pound, which is why I feel like this still dominates this category because, again, that's what you really care about when it comes to carrying stuff. Now, some of you may be tempted to think, well, these guys probably just put some super cheap batteries in their bike to drive down the price, but that's just not the case. All three companies use Samsung batteries, and they all got the same UL certification, which is UL 2849 and UL 2271. Don't want to take the time to figure out what they are, but you're more than welcome to. All right, now it's time to talk about a few things that I didn't like. And the first one is the pure humongous size of this bike. I'm a 5'11" guy. This is a mid-step bike, and I can barely stand over it. And then when getting off, this rack is so big that I have hit my shin or my leg on the back end of that, which may or may not have caused some inappropriate words to escape my lungs. Anyways, a couple more things that I didn't like is the ride and the feel is just, we'll just say it's not as nice as Electric and Rad Power. Those bikes have a generally just better ride and feel. This one, I like the ride and feel, but it's just not as nice as those. Another thing that I'm not the biggest fan of is the suspension. I mean, it's nice that you have rear suspension, but it's pretty dang basic. And that's pretty much it for the things that I didn't like. Whenever I do this things that I don't like part of the review, I always take into account the price. Like, you're only paying $1,300 for this, and it's actually pretty dang good for that price. You got a huge soft saddle with suspension underneath. You got plastic fenders, but they are a more stiff and thicker fender. There's a turning derailleur. The weld job is what you'd expect for a bike in this price range. You know, a bunch of welding scars up here, underneath the saddle, the rear fork, and then just this rack is also all welded. Kind of gives it a mean, tough vibe though, you know? I like that you can adjust the handlebars, so put an Allen wrench in there, and that will go from +30 to -30. I've got them pulled up quite a bit, as you can see. I like to have a more upright riding posture, but if you wanted a more aggressive posture, if you wanted to take this off-road, unscrew that and push those down. Got a pretty nice wide grip. LCD screen is also nice looking. Control pad is nice feeling. Standard basic SIS index Shimano shifter. I see a lot of these on $1,500 bikes. But then you got hydraulic brakes with a huge 203mm rotor. Braking on this is not as bad as you would think for a 106-pound bike. Like, they've done a very good job of putting some nice, beefy, big brakes on this. The last few features I can tell you about this is it comes in 2 colors, has a 1-year warranty, it's got an IPX65 water-resistant rating, and a rider size of 5'4" to 6'4". Okay, so if you're looking for a fat bike for $1,500 or less, I think it's safe to say that this is the option that I would go if you like to go fast and like a longer range and pay less than other brands. I've got the link to this in the bio if you want to check it out. And before you go, if you want to check out those other 2 bikes that I reviewed, the Electric and the Rad Power, I've got them right up there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on a different day and a different time and a different place. And that's about all I have to say as I walk off screen.